We are back with another edition of Smart Driving Cars. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alan Kornhauser.
Good morning, Fred. Good morning.
Good morning. And with us once again from Sweden is consultant and co-author of The Real Case for Driverless Mobility, Michael Sena. Hi, Michael.
Good morning. Great to be back with you. Hello, Alain. Fred.
Good morning, Michael.
Michael, you've published a really interesting Musings on Mobility essay with the title, Is Elon Musk the Henry Ford of Our Day? And if he is, which Henry Ford, the myth or the man? It's a great read. I've read it a couple of times already. You can find it at michaellsena.com. I recommend that you do. And you're looking at two men, Ford and Musk, who, as you say, within the span of 100 years have been credited with having perhaps the greatest impact on personal transport, even more so than the original inventors of the internal combustion engine and electrically propelled vehicles. So tell us more about how the paths of Ford and Musk have been similar.
Normally, I answer that whatever question you throw at me at the beginning of this, but I'm going to ask you, you've read it. Tell me what you think or what affected you most about what you read.
Well, I wasn't as aware, perhaps as I should have been, of Ford's political involvement, which is really interesting, especially when you consider how the paths of these two giants, I guess we can call them, are similar, and the way they were viewed by themselves and by others, and going back and forth, reading about you take Ford first, and then you get into Musk, and you leave it to the reader to go back and forth and compare the two, and it's that's what I found really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are plenty of articles, tons of articles about Elon Musk. Apparently, I would guess that there were a lot of articles about Henry Ford at the time that he was active. But and most of the articles that you read about Elon Musk are negative. I would say that because if you look at the surveys that are taken, seems like we're spending a lot of time talking about the man. Um, a majority of people who are asked dislike Elon Musk more than those who like him. And I don't think it's really fair for people to claim they like or dislike someone just based on the on what they're reading. Because if most of what they're reading is colored by, you know, kind of strange things. He is what he is, and the kind of person that he is has an awful lot to do with how he acts and what he does. But he has another life. I mean, his person in the business world is very important to what's being done in a number of industries. Now, I chose to compare him to Henry Ford and not Thomas Edison. And one of my good friends and readers said, well, he's more like Thomas Edison than Henry Ford. It's possibly true. But both Henry Ford and Elon Musk are extremely important for the automobile industry, and that's really what I wanted to show and express and discuss. Um,
It's interesting that Ford did not have a social network. Obviously, there was no such thing, but he did have a newspaper,
he had a
and
newspaper.
that got him
Yeah.
in some trouble too, right?
Well, he had a newspaper for the same reason that Elon Musk has his platform, which he
He,
renamed to X. Um,
he
both
had
of
a
them
movie. He
use
had a movie studio. I mean, he made movies. He was a big, of course, proponent of the farm to market roads and having the federal government build the road system that would take his vehicles. I mean, it's part of the mechanism, part of the multi dimensions that you really have to be in and involved in if you're going to build a new if you're going to scale a new business. Let's call it scaling of a new business, because
exactly.
that's really what Ford did. Ford scaled it, and if you look at what Elon's doing, Ford is scaling the things that he's in. Now, whether he achieves scale or not, or it ends up petering out because of, he didn't accomplish all the things that he needed to accomplish, we'll wait and see. But that's, and I agree with you, Michael, that the comparison, Henry and Elon is the appropriate one, at least for our industry. Okay, I mean,
But if you take them on a personal basis, they're both. I don't think it's unfair to say that Elon Musk is arrogant. He was described as arrogant by everyone who was sitting in the same conference rooms with him for about 5 months. On the other hand, you could say that most of those people are probably arrogant. That's how they got to where they got to, sitting in the White House conference rooms. But Henry Ford was also someone who he didn't really listen to other people, and he in many ways, I didn't really write this because it's a little bit more of a hearsay than not, but he did use people. He managed to get out of the people who were around him as much as they possibly could. And what I tried to write in the article is that many of the things that he did do, he didn't do by himself. He didn't necessarily invent the world of the modern automobile the way that many people have talked about him being. And the whole idea of the assembly line wasn't his invention. He applied it to the automobile, but it wasn't even he who applied it to the automobile. It was the people who were working with him. He managed to get very good people around him, and I think Elon Musk has done exactly the same thing. Now,
but isn't this true of everybody? Isn't it just a fairy tale to suggest that one entity, even Napoleon or anybody? I mean, it's just goofy. It's I don't know. It's just not right.
I
Of
agree.
course, everybody stands on somebody else's shoulders. Of
Of
course, other
course.
people
Yeah.
use it. It takes a
Yeah.
team. It takes a community to create anything. Has there been ever maybe? Jesus Christ, I guess. I don't know. I mean, cut
No,
it
no,
out.
no.
Michael, you
He had
actually
12
start
apostles.
you actually
Yeah.
start out
I mean,
this
come on.
essay.
Yeah.
You start out
Yeah.
the essay talking about our search, our need for heroes, and
Exactly.
I guess that's what you're getting at here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm getting at. And there are a lot of people, they call them, fanboys, but the the creation of a myth around someone, there was a myth that was created around Henry Ford, and he played on that myth. And after a while, he did believe that he walked on water, and it turns out that he didn't. He sunk a couple of times. He was almost ready to sink Ford, the company, while he was sinking himself. I mean, after 1919, he basically checked out. I mean, he was going to be a senator. He was going to influence the world. He was going to, build communities and do all sorts of things. And his son Edsel took over. That's another thing that we don't seem to get the message that Edsel took over running the company in 1919 when his father managed to get all the shares of the company from everyone else. So he and his wife and Clara and Edsel ran the company, and they managed. Edsel, with the good engineers who were there, managed finally to get a new car out of the block when Henry was 19. By 1927, there was Model T was really long in the tooth. The Model
And
A,
and and
which
Musk
my
faces some
grandfather
of the
owned.
Musk faces some of those same criticisms.
Exactly. He's doing exactly the same thing. I mean, the Etzel is a very good example of the Cybertruck. I mean, And
I know.
they didn't even want. I mean, if Edsel were alive, he would not have wanted that car to come out. But it managed to come out somehow. Yeah, Henry wasn't around at the time either. But the Cybertruck is just it. And I wrote this. You have to give me credit for at least one thing that I've said. I said the Cybertruck is it's a complete mistake from every standpoint,
Yeah,
and
but
nobody's buying it.
but in all
It's
of
a
this, I
clunker.
mean, it's unfair of any of us to expect perfection of somebody else. I mean,
Exactly.
why can't we look at somebody and say, okay, I like these things about them and don't like those things. I mean, I'm still trying to find something I like about Trumpy poo. I'm trying like heck, but I'm
Yeah.
having trouble. But I think I will find some things. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
maybe maybe
I,
maybe if he sent you a note saying you're up for deportation, like he did with Elon, he'll come. You
well,
might come up with some
hey,
good ideas.
I
Boy,
want
look what he
a
did.
free trip to France, man. Right now, I have to pay for my plane ticket. Jeez, I mean, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, uh, yeah, set me free, free at last. I don't
Hmm.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's jealousy that some of us have for these people that are awfully successful, and therefore
Yes.
we have to, tarnish them a little bit because we don't like this or don't like that about them. To me, I think we should all take a deep breath with respect to any individual and take a look. I mean, I even like to say that with respect to Richard Nixon, I mean, he signed the 1970 Clean Air Act. My goodness, if you're an environmentalist, you should love Tricky Dick. I mean,
Well,
how
let's let's
how many environmentalists love Tricky Dick, but they should. And he, I mean, he had the vision to transform China. I found in my basement my slides from my first trip to China. I'm having them converted to I don't know, whatever digital
Digital.
images. I'm going to put
Mhm.
together maybe the greatest talk that I've ever put together on what the heck China looked like in November 1978. My pictures. I mean, come on, to have the vision to see that. I mean, that makes up for a lot of bad. Okay,
Yeah. But
although
your example is
I
a
mean,
very good one in the context of the musings, because it wasn't Tricky Dick. I mean, remember, he had somebody by his side, also with the name of Henry.
but of course,
Yeah.
but of course, but nobody. I mean, anybody who suggests they do things is by themselves is such a narcissist. You don't even want to talk to
And
them. And
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 there
and
and,
and nobody like that ever gets anywhere.
and
Eh,
there
eh,
are
eh, eh,
and there are a lot of people today who said, now let's look at where we are today in the world in terms of who's got the power and who's wielding the hammer, and how did that all start? And Dick Nixon doesn't look so good in that context. So
Yeah,
again, we need to, if we're going to make heroes out of people, we need to have both hindsight and foresight. With the hindsight that we have of Henry Ford, now we don't have the foresight yet, or even the full hindsight of Elon Musk.
yeah,
What I tried to say in the musings is, let, let's give the guy at least some breathing space to be able to do things that maybe he should be doing that he isn't doing. I mean, if you look at what he's been doing now and the effect that it's had on sales of Tesla cars just in Sweden, forget about the rest of the world. All right, 17% down in the rest of the world. But in Sweden, where up until very recently, almost every fifth car I see on the road now, and I'm a car counter, every fifth car I see on the road now is a Volvo. Every 20th car I see on the road now is a Tesla. Now that compares to Audi, to Mercedes. Volkswagen is better, but that's all happened in the last three or 4 years. But the sales of Teslas have tanked. They're down 60% over the course of next year, and there's nothing that's going to change that. People aren't buying them for one and only one reason. They hate the guy. They think that what he's done helped Donald Trump get elected, and then done what he's done with the chainsaw, and turning around on Trump isn't doing him any favors right now, because then he looks like he's just, he's flying, he's whatever way the wind is blowing, I'm going to go in the other direction. So I mean, we've got articles. This is a spread in the newspaper today. This is an article in the newspaper today talking about what a dumb idea it is to have a third party. The likelihood that a third party is going to win. I mean, we're spending ink on this person, and it's negative ink, and it's not helping the sales. Why is he doing this?
Yeah,
The same could be said of Henry Ford. He had the newspaper, and he was using it as an anti-Semitic device. He ran for the Senate, and he lost dramatically. I mean, he had no chance. The guy couldn't write, he couldn't speak. I mean, what was his platform? His platform was he had a lot of money, and he was making a lot of cars, and that was good enough for him to be able to get himself elected.
He was 100 years too early.
He was 100 years too early. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I don't know. I would say if you're buying a car based on, whether or not you like the guy on top, then I guess, don't buy the car. You
That
should
was the
take a look
last.
at the car
Yeah.
and see whether or not the car is what you really want. Okay. I
Exactly.
mean, what are you
Yeah.
doing? I mean, to me, that's, I have to point at the individual, and if that's easy for you, if that's an easy way for you to get some satisfaction in your life, then go for it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're free and do what you want. You get to spend. But in a sense, I guess you get to a point in which as an individual, you just decide you have these other missions, and the mission selling cars is not really, the mission is not really your mission. The car's good, you buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. You might have some money, and you might not agree with that. Certainly, it's tough to look at least what was put into the press for us to have as clickbait, which, to me, the press is at fault here. And I look at all the reportings that have come out with respect to the Austin thing. I mean, oh my goodness, we have to look at the sky falling down. Oh, terrible. Oh, I, I'll blame the nobody's put out there a reason why you would want this. So
No.
since there's no reason why you want this, you might as well then point out its blemishes as much as you can. And so if it really has no reason to be there, then the blemishes win. But the problem with the rollout is that they haven't focused on the why. Why do you
Exactly.
have it out there? And they missed it. Elon hit it, making it $4.20 a ride. Now, the $4.20 is a cute number. That's not the important number. The important thing is that darn thing now makes it affordable. Now, either you do the affordability, yeah, I don't know, one, because you want to be funny. Okay, all right, you're funny. Hey, get your whatevers. Two, because you're seeing that, man, if you have a high quality product at a low price, guess what? Schumpeter says you win. You win. You win. Okay, that's how you win. Have a really good product at a really low price. You win.
And
Now,
that's what Ford did. And that's
what Ford did. That's what
Yeah.
Ford did. Now, I don't know. I don't know if this $4.20 is a real number. Okay. In which, if that's a real number, then he wins. Okay. Or it's a predatory number. He's subsidizing the hell out of it. It's really $42, which is what Waymo has to charge. Okay. I guess has to. Well, I mean, I guess Alphabet could allow them to do zero. I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
Or,
exactly.
but if Alphabet does it at zero or even at 420 and doesn't make money, and Tesla does it at 420 and makes money, guess what? It's like the one article, checkmate.
Yeah.
Plop over the king, Waymo. You're done. Sorry.
Yeah. We've segued into a discussion.
We've segued into but this fits in exactly on what you wrote about with respect to what Ford tripped over something, got help with something, the assembly line, the organization, but the vision, the why. He had the why vision. He had, if I make this really inexpensive, a lot of people will buy it and improve their quality of life. And
he just hold that
if I may say that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. What I also said here, and I think this is something else that we're leaving out of the equation in many of these discussions. He could have done exactly what he did with building a car that was affordable. But if he didn't put in that car a gear shift that was much easier to use by everyone, including his own wife, who was driving around in an electric car, because driving a mechanical car at that point in time was just too difficult. I mean, between the starting it and the driving it and the shifting it and all of those things, he designed a car. That's his real innovation. There's nothing in the, I don't want to say this, but I'll say it. There's nothing in the Tesla that belongs to Elon. What Elon did was to take an idea of an electric car that was designed many times over with all of the mechanics and everything else, and he made that car possible to sell by saying, we can't just sell an electric car because nobody's going to buy it. We can't just put a car on the market and say it's environmentally friendly. Nobody's going to buy it. We have to be able to sell a car that people are actually going to be able to use. And so he invented all of the things around the sale of Teslas. That's why we have Teslas on the road
which
today.
is the refueling network. That is Elon's transmission. That is Elon's transmission in the process. You have to have a competitive product, first of all, in Schumpeter land, okay, and then have to be able to produce that thing so that you can price it so that you can go out on the demand curve. That's how you scale, but you have to have a competitive product. Ford did it with the gear shift. Elon did it with the refueling network.
Yeah, well,
I suggest,
it wasn't just the refueling network, because he wasn't going to be able to sell a cheap car because it cost too much money for him to do it. And if he tried to put that car on the market originally for $80,000 to 30 or 40,000, which was the average cost of a car, he was going to go out of business within a couple of years. So he had to find a way of subsidizing this car. How did he do it? He convinced the government, first in California and then the federal government, you have to pay people to buy my car.
Yeah.
And this is the Trump card that the Trumpinator is using against him, saying, we've put you in business and we've kept you in business by paying people to buy your cars. Now we're going to take that away. See how well you do. Well, he's gone far enough to be able to get over that hump, and he's also got enough scale to be able to price the cars low enough that people can buy them. You don't have to buy $100,000 car from Tesla today, unless you want to buy one of those stupid cyber trucks. You can buy a decent car. You just bought a couple, right? You just bought a couple of Tesla Model
No, I
Ys.
bought a couple cars.
Yeah, bought a couple of cars.
Couple cars. I'm not
Couple of
saying I
cars.
don't need
Couple of
I don't
cars.
need to disclose what the make was, but I just bought a couple cars. I just bought
Couple
a
of
couple
cars.
cars.
Couple of cars.
Couple cars. Couple cars. Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
it's but all those things all help in putting together probably an assembly line and a manufacturing process that is why, because it built from the ground up new.
Hmm.
Wasn't Didn't have a bunch of old stuff that he had to keep around. uh, Hired a number of enormously great individuals to work with him, because
Hmm.
because it takes a community to do anything. Okay, I mean,
You keep quoting Hillary Clinton. I mean, what's the
yeah,
story here?
but it just does. I mean, to think that somebody goes out there. I mean, at times, I don't know, in my little company, ALK, they couldn't wait for me to leave. They didn't want me in there they did it. They did. I didn't. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. I actually can't do a damn thing. Uh, but
Uh-huh.
you know,
Well, you admit it.
I mean, look at me. Um, oh, Jesus. I almost cut my finger off because I was, cutting stuff. I mean, I can't even, bring down bamboo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fred, when we were talking earlier, you said you wanted to read a quote that you thought was
Well,
appropriate.
that was that we did at the beginning, that when you
Okay.
were talking about the greatest impact on personal transport.
Mm.
And again, we encourage everybody to read the full essay. Won't take you
yeah,
that long at michaelsena.com. Great essay.
it is
Thank you.
very well written, and it's just realize it. And I think the other thing that I put into smart driving cars, not to get into smart driving cars, which follows up on this, is the Essence book, that Elizabeth and I have been listening to as we go back and forth to May's Landing, and my
Is that
goodness,
an immense world?
an immense world. And it's
Ed
I
Young.
just I just so encourage you to. It's so well, they should have used you, Fred, to do but the oration is very good of the book. And I mean, you want to just sit back and marvel at real intelligence in biology. Forget this artificial stuff, which is really nothing. I mean, it really is nothing compared to what biology does. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I
The
mean,
full title, Alan, is An Immense World: How Animal Senses Reveal the Hidden Realms Around Us.
I mean, to think that whales communicate across 1,000 miles of ocean, trivially, and tell each other what's going on, and we're there. Duh, what are they doing? Uh,
Terrific.
it boggles your mind. It boggles my mind, and then of course the images coming out of the Rubin Observatory. I mean, some people have said, well, they're not really that great, but I mean, they are great.
You comment on that in the newsletter as well.
Yeah, I make a comment on that. I mean, if you want your mind blown about, really stupendous stuff going on, I mean, and I guess we discovered discovered the third interterrestrial object coming through our space recently. I mean, isn't it amazing? This is only the third one that we've discovered. It's not only the third one that's passed through our solar system. Trust me, it's not only the third one. It's just the third one. Why? Because it goes so fast. They go so fast. And you take an image and you have to take you have to take images at a frequency of the same place so that you can see it move. Otherwise, it's here, and the next time it's not, and you have no idea what the you probably I don't know that do. I mean, and of course they're zooming by through here.
We're
Otherwise,
zooming
they'd be
ourselves
captured.
right now. So
Right now.
elsewhere in the newsletter, Alan, you were talking about China before from the South China Morning Post. How does a Chinese driverless system compare with Tesla's? And you
Again,
highlight
there's a series of videos that are there, and I will say that I'll claim that they're well done, and they look to be somewhat unbiased. Okay, although and so just watch them and learn and critique and question.
the mobility company MOIA, owned by the Volkswagen Group, has unveiled a series production version ID Buzz AD and a turnkey solution for full autonomous mobility services. There are a couple of articles that you're linking to here. They're saying full certification to bring driverless is being applied for or will be applied for in the EU and the US. So
Yeah,
maybe we have a
again,
serious player here.
this is all we're gonna, will be gonna. Okay, great. It's wonderful. It's nice that they're configuring it. How do they compare with what Zoox is doing and building its manufacturing facility to produce these things or to augment these vehicles so that they have the redundant actuators and the sensors and the compute and whatever. Great. I mean, uh, do you really need that many lidars? I mean, okay, great, whatever. All right, put that for you. You can you can use these things to solve problems where you need lidars. Okay, and I guess we'll wait and see if there are systems out there that 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 work well enough in places where you don't need lidars. I don't know. This isn't a lidar thing. Um, This is about what are we trying to do with these things? Why? The why? What's the societal benefit? What's the individual benefit? Who's going to buy them? Who's going who will get enough value out of them to say, hey, yeah, I'm buying it. We'll wait and see.
Well, we go back to the vision of what is it that Henry Ford was saying, why would people buy his cars? I will build a motor car for the great multitude. It will be large enough for the family, but small enough for the individual to run and care for. It will be constructed of the best materials by the best men to be hired after the simplest designs that modern engineering can devise. But it will be so low in price that no man making a good salary will be unable to own one and enjoy with his family the blessing of hours of pleasure in God's great open spaces. Now, talk about a vision statement.
Yeah,
Now, this is after the fact. Henry Ford was great for saying, I'm going to try something. If it works out, you can write about it. If it didn't work out, you never heard about it. But
yeah.
he's writing. The book was written by a big fan of Henry, Samuel Crowther. He was a professional writer. Henry Ford had his name on the book with it, but it was written by Samuel Crowther, and it was written to be a tribute to the man. And what he's saying here these are Samuel Crowther's words put into Henry Ford's mouth, but it's beautiful. I will build a motor car for the great multitude and enjoy with his family the blessings of hours of pleasure in God's great open spaces. Now, put in those kinds of words what it is that we're trying to do, or that is trying to be done. What's the vision statement for a driverless vehicle? By buying one, a person could enjoy with his family the blessing of hours of pleasure in God's great open spaces without ever having an accident. That's the message. That's the basic message that's being given. But you don't need to have a driverless car to do that. We can have no accident cars today if the governments said no speeding, no alcohol, no drugs, no people running on roads, no animals allowed on any roads at all. I mean, there are things that we could do to prevent accidents. We're not doing those. And now we're saying, well, if we have driverless cars, we won't have accidents because we're taking the human out of the equation. It's not the human that's causing all of the accidents. It's the things around with other humans who aren't in the car, other people driving other types of vehicles, people doing things that you don't expect them to be doing. And none of that is coming out in any of these articles that are being written about driverless vehicles.
It's even worse than that, because if we really want to do that, we can do that in the so-called safe driving vehicles or level 2 vehicles, or that in fact will override what the mistakes that you make. And then
Sure.
two, the other issues that are out there, there's a certain amount of insurance fraud going on continuously out there. It's all, most of the things have to do with human misbehavior, okay, that go on. And I even put in there the one thing in there about, my goodness, if we had all driverless cars, then in fact pedestrians would go nuts. They just jaywalk anytime. Why? Because there's no fear of getting hit. And if you're not going to get hit and you're not going to get hurt, then why in the hell should you stay on the damn sidewalk? Now I know it's almost a loony thought, but it's not a loony thought. I mean,
That's from a talk given by Malcolm Gladwell, I think.
I know, and it's way out there, but it's stuff. The safety piece to me is just not that's not what driverless cars are about. They certainly can help safety, okay, no doubt about it. They can be as safe as we can, to be safer than we can. My goodness, we'll go out there and we'll cut the wires. We won't let it. Oh my goodness, it didn't let me do what I wanted to do. And so people aren't going to put up with that. So it's not that. I think our argument that we've been making for who knows till we're blue in the face, this allows the Ford vision to now be available to those who don't make the affordable, the high quality wage. It allows mobility. It levels the mobility opportunity field for a lot more people than currently have it. And there are a certain number of people that can't enjoy what Henry brought to all of this. Okay.
Exactly.
Why? Because either they don't want to, which it's their choice. They aren't certified because they're too young, too old, too what to do, too who knows, or can't whatever, and can't whatever, or they're too poor and they'd rather spend their money on something else than this. Okay, that's it. And as we've looked at it, I'll argue that latent demand for the Ford vision is the thing that propels the driverless car, because now you might be able to do that affordably.
Right.
And if you can, then, and you believe in Schumpeter, boom, Then all of a sudden, out of the woodwork comes all these customers at a price that allows you to be in business. And those customers are way larger than whatever Uber or Lyft have. Ride hailing,
right.
who are they? I mean, that's such a niche. It's right. You're going to chase that niche? No, thank you. There's nothing there. Sorry.
Might be a good time,
I
Alan.
haven't seen that written anywhere except for what we've tried to write and what we've said.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know. Maybe we're loony. Maybe
The
we're
you
real
the
find
thing.
it.
loony
You
ones.
find it in our book.
Yeah, you find it in our book, but
you find it in your musings, and you find it in my and what
yeah,
the
we find
dispatcher
it
and the
there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Might be a
somehow,
good
the
time,
rest of the
Alan.
world, Dubai, they don't believe that. In Japan, they don't believe that. In
Yeah.
China apparently doesn't believe that. I mean, you don't see that. West Germany, no. In Israel, no. In South Carolina, no. In Austin, no. In Santa Monica, oh, no.
Alan, might be a good time for you to do just a quick little update on the entity called HandyRides.
Bought two cars. That's the update.
And the goal is to accomplish everything that
I don't know what the goal is. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just. I'm just. I'm talking about. The update is did us, not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna. We're gonna do a lot of. Boy, was that. Oh, gonna. Boy, I was gonna. I was gonna. I'm gonna. I'm gonna go out there today and shoot par.
hope it doesn't rain on you.
Or I'll shoot par in the rain. Ooh, make it really challenging. Oh, you can't do that. Well, of course I can't do that. I know I can't do
Yeah.
that, but I'm gonna.
And finally, we've talked about some of the other issues we were going to bring up, but Wired reports that GM's Cruise cars are back on the road in 3 states, but not for ride hailing. I guess they're just testing some new driver assistance technology.
Well, maybe Mary sees that ride hailing just isn't that big of a business to go after, and she's going to go after something else with it. Great, because ride hailing isn't worth going after,
From a lot of
my view.
perspectives. So that's going to do it for this episode, I think. Michael, thank you once again for your insights and musings. The site is michaelsena.com.
It,
Wonderful to be here. Always fun. Always interesting. New ideas coming
and
coming
it,
out of
it,
my
it
two friends.
and it is a really good read, as is the Immense World, and as are the Rubin images. I mean, there's lots to be happy about in terms of what's going on, the new discoveries, and maybe we'll be able to actually put out there affordable rides for folks and improve their lives. We'll see what happens.
You can follow along always at smartdrivingcar.com. My tech reports are at techstination.com. Thank you for spending time with us, for watching or listening, and remember to stay safe.